Hello everyone, and welcome to a very special video because I am finally doing a full Nightmare Fredbear showcase. I have no excuses as to why this video is so late. I don't know, I just started working on other projects after Halloween ended and I finished the Halloween room. And I just kind of forgot to do this, so I'm doing it now. It actually wasn't until I started getting YouTube comments saying stuff like, can I see him in motion and stuff like this, that I realized yeah, I've never done a full video of just him. So that's what we're doing now. I'm just going to kind of give commentary on the whole building process and stuff. But first, just because I know this is what you guys have been waiting for, I don't have the remote because the little module that you put inside of them, this thing is actually out of batteries. You put this in and this kind of links up wirelessly with the remote, and that's what you use to get them to actually do remote activated stuff. So instead I have a step pad that I originally bought for Crouchy on Halloween. There he is. He himself doesn't technically make sound, or he doesn't make Nightmare Fredbear sounds at least, because for those who are just watching this video with no prior knowledge of the Fredbear project, I did not build any of the mechanisms inside of him. This is Crouchy the Clown from Spirit Halloween that I took and I reskinned. I actually did an unboxing video over a year ago if you want to go check that out. But you can definitely see with the pose that this is Crouchy. It's why he's kind of squatting a little bit. You can't see his legs. His legs are done. I'll probably put up either photos or some video I took. Screw it. I'll play it now. So yeah, as you can see, he's a full animatronic. He only moves his torso. The original Crouchy does move his head in opposite directions, but I was having trouble getting that to actually work with how Crouchy, or with how big the Fredbear costume is, excuse me, because it was because right now his head is resting on his shoulders a little bit. There is little rods running up to the top of his head to keep it in place, but I made a jaw lock mechanism for him, which is just a shoestring that attaches from the inside of it, underneath his jaw, to a little strap that's about right behind his snout. And basically what that does is if I tie it off in there, his jaw will stay shut. That way it doesn't hang open like it does now, because his bottom jaw is heavy. But what that ends up doing is it puts extra stress on the area up here, and it puts more stress on the motor, because from what I can tell, this animatronic only operates off of one motor. So it's all this way from both the torso and this giant head, which is almost the same size of the torso, just putting stress on that motor, and we don't want that at all because we don't want to burn it out. So I was being careful while doing this. I'm still kind of reserved about turning him on too much. He did get a lot of wear and tear on Halloween, no doubt, because obviously I made this dude, I'm gonna put him up. He was on my front porch on Halloween. I'll put up some pictures here. You could also see them on my Twitter. But yeah, so he is absolutely massive. He's not quite life-size. You can tell I am around 6'1", and he is easily around 7 foot, maybe 7.5. He's also leaning forward just due to all the weight on his head. If we were to stand him upright, he'd be scraping against the ceiling. So he is huge, and on top of that, he's in that crouching position. So I'd say if he were able to stand upright, he'd probably easily be around 8 feet tall, which I believe the official height for Nightmare Fredbear, if there even is one, is around 10 feet. So he's a little bit he's about 2 feet too short, but I still feel 8 foot is a pretty impressive feat, especially for an animatronic. But yeah, this dude is absolutely massive. You could see me next to him. He absolutely dwarfs me. Also, I get a lot of comments of people saying you must be terrified of this thing. How could you sleep with this at night in your house? I sleep just fine. I've shown off in some videos that I just straight up while I was building him, he was staring at my bed, because that's just the pose he was in, and I never really bothered too much to fix it. But a huge thing with me is that I slowly was able to acclimate to this dude, because over the course of 9 months, I just saw him getting built up more and more. So I was just used to him being there. It's like I I had time to slowly acclimate to this giant thing being in my room, because first it was just an endoskeleton, then, you know, I made the torso and stuff, and, you know, as it became more and more complete, I didn't even register that. It was just like, yeah, that thing's just been in my room forever. So I have, like, no fear of this thing. I'll stand right up next to it, even while it's moving, as you guys saw. Like, I don't care. He is intimidating. Don't get me wrong. Seeing him fully built in, like, other spots of my house, like right here, is, like, it just goes to show how big he is, because I got used to seeing him in the same spot, and seeing him compared to, like, other objects I'm used to seeing on a daily basis just, like, puts in perspective, like, just how big he is. I don't know. He's huge. But, going over the process of how I built this, I'll probably put, like, little clips and videos from other videos that I've already, like, posted, just so you guys can get, like, a nice recap. That and maybe pictures. In order to build this guy, I started with the torso. I started by making, like, a little framework out of cardboard. You can see some of it poking through. That's been, like, spray painted. In an effort to make him as light as possible, I was going as minimal as possible with the torso. So he's actually pretty light. He's still heavy, like, once all together, especially with the endoskeleton, but he's very, like, considerably light. The heaviest part of him is definitely his head, but that was the same thing with Crouchy, so I figured it wasn't that big of an issue. He's, like, built to be a little bit more top heavy. He's got supports on his base to, like, help with that. I actually didn't need to weigh down his base at all. I was worried that I would have to, and I just didn't. So yeah, I started by building the torso. I started first with the framework before I did all the fabric stuff. All the fabric stuff came almost, like, all at once. So I built the torso, and then I did the pelvis while I had the, like, measurements of, like, how round the diameter of the torso was, like, still fresh in my mind. So I got those done, I think, in the same, not fully done in the same night, but I started working on the pelvis, like, definitely around the time I did the torso. And then after those two bits were done, I started working on the arms. Just so I could get a better, like, idea of what his, like, torso will look like. And the reason why you want to do the torso and, like, arms and stuff first is to, like, gauge how big you need to make the head. Or at least that's what I do, because it's easier to gauge how big I want to make the head for, like, something that I'm sizing to, like, a specific thing, like for a costume or, like, a animatronic reskin like this. If I had just done the head first, I definitely would have made it too small, like, without a doubt. I probably would have done something more similar to the size of my original Golden Freddy head, which is still pretty big, but it's nowhere near the, like, absolute monstrous size this dude's head is. This dude's head is almost as big as, like, my entire upper half of my body. It's huge. So I got that done and out of the way first, just so I was, you know, able to, like, visualize the rough size and shape of the head when comparing it to, like, reference images that I actually print out reference images and put it up on a corkboard that was, like, next to, like, where I was working on Fredbear. I do that with current projects now too. So after I got the torso done, I did, like, a basic base of the hands, but I didn't really need them done yet. And then I started working on the head. When I make heads, I usually start with the top jaw, or the top of the head, I guess. And I get that done usually pretty quickly. After doing this for years, I've gotten pretty used to how to, like, easily do this. I will say one of the hardest bits for making his head was the, like, rounding out the sides here and just trying to make them the right, like, size compared to everything else. I had a really good reference image, though, because I had I believe it was the 2017 Five Nights at Freddy's calendar, which, like, one of the first pictures in it is just a front shot of Nightmare Fredbear's head, which was perfect for what I was doing. It's not perfect by any means, but it's close enough to look accurate to the game, and that's all I'm going for. Like, especially if you're seeing this in the dark, it looks like it came straight out of the game, because you can't see all the, like, you know, exposed cardboard bits that I just spray painted. I did that, by the way, to mitigate, like, how heavy the head would be. Because with all the other nightmares, when I had to do, like, these weird, like, bits of framework on the costume that were, like, being exposed from, like, all the tears and stuff, I would use EVA foam and either, like, paint it metallic or just leave it as it is because it's already, like, the right color. But for him, I just spray painted the, like, bottom of his framework before I wrapped it in fabric and stuff. The snout was made next for the head. I always make the snout separate because it's easier to wrap stuff in fabric when the snout's not like protruding from it, because it's hard enough with like these. You can see there are some like wrinkles and stuff like on his like right where the cheeks connect to the front of his face. Doing the snout separate helps mitigate that a little bit. You could see with my older like Fredbear head, not Nightmare but normal Fredbear, I didn't do that, and there's like a bunch of like just creases and stuff going around the snout, and it just does not look good. So I wanted to mitigate that as much as possible. And then once I got the bottom jaw or the top jaw done, like snout and all, I was able to put that on top of a like flat piece of cardboard, and I traced out what the head looked like just the shape of like the bottom of the head, so like along here. And then once I cut that out, I had like the bottom like base of the bottom jaw, and then I just cut out like a long strip of cardboard to go all the way around, and complete that to like get like something that matches the shape of the actual head. And then I think this was around the point that I started going back and I started wrapping stuff in fabric. I started like, I did it in the order that I had worked on stuff like before, like with the framework. So first I did the torso, then it was his pelvis piece, and then it was the arms, and then head. I did skip out on the hands for a long time. I just, let them be for a bit. And then I started covering the head in fabric and making the ears. The ears are made in a very similar technique with the bottom jaw. And obviously you just repeat the same process with the other ear. His hat was made out of a old plastic, like disposable, like soup container. That I put together and put onto, I took it and put it on top of the lid of another soup container that was like larger to like create the brim of the hat. Like this part, I take the hat off, but honestly, I'm worried about tearing up the Velcro because the Velcro on it is very loosely put on. When you're doing Velcro like onto plastic and stuff like this, you gotta score the plastic a little bit, which I do, but sometimes like I miss spots and it like creates like an area where it can like get torn off easily, so you gotta be very thorough with it. I was not with this. So I guess if you're using Velcro to attach stuff onto like some plastic, like what the hat is, take your time and score it like as much as possible just to create a rough surface for the glue to grip onto. But the hat was completely spray painted, and the brim of his hat is literally just another thing of Velcro just going around. I think I could take it off if I really wanted to, but I obviously don't. So that created like a really nice, simple, and easy to do hat. I did the same thing with Nightmare Freddy, both the Nightmare like the original Nightmare Freddy that I built, and the Nightmare Freddy costume I made for my little cousin, which I may put up a picture of here. But his eyes are also just styrofoam balls that I painted with the same metallic paint that I used on like his claws, teeth, and like cardboard bits that are supposed to be like endoskeleton showing. Though when you're painting styrofoam with spray paint, you have to do it in multiple light coats because the spray paint will have a chemical reaction with the styrofoam and cause it to like either fizzle away or like get all bubbly. That actually happened with Nightmare Chica, and I just kind of ran with it because she does have one bad eye. I'll put up a picture of it here, but I decided to like use that like bubbly texture for the bad eye to say like, it's damaged or something. I don't know, just to like add more character to my Nightmare Chica, because I don't really care too much about accuracy. I try to achieve as close as possible while also adding my own personal touches and stuff, so it's still recognizable as the character, but it's also recognizable as my work. The teeth are all made of EVA foam, which I cut using an X-Acto knife. These were all hand carved and stuff. You could tell by how rough they are. I should have used a heat gun to heat form them. I ended up doing that with the claws, which is why the claws look way smoother. I just forgot to do it with the teeth, and I just kind of liked how rough they looked anyways. But if you use a heat gun on like EVA foam, you could help like smoothen out like corners and like edges and stuff, and that creates like this nice like way smoother thing, combined with the texture paint, of course. And it also hardens the EVA foam a little bit, so it's harder for spray paint to seep through it. That's why the teeth look a little bit darker than the claws. And then inside there is a proto like endoskeleton jaw. I'll put up a picture of it. You can't really see it from here, I don't think. It's just a little strip of EVA foam like on the inside in a rough like just bottom jaw fashion. it's mostly just there for like a little bit of flavor. You're not gonna see it in most like angles and stuff. It's just, you know, if you do see it, you see it. It was just a nice little touch that I added that I wasn't even sure if I would add, just to like keep from adding too much weight. And with that, that's pretty much the head done, because you just wrap it in fabric. I will say, doing like separate bits of fabric for the like weird brown sections of his face probably wasn't the best idea. Using brown paint may look better. Don't take my word for it though, because I have not tried it myself. Though I do think this did turn out like okay on its own. It just like, all the brown stuff now just is like a layer on top. So it like, it does help add some depth to it, but it's not really accurate to like what it looks like in the game. Obviously there's like wire details and stuff that I did like around the eyes and the mouth. I used like different thicknesses of like wires and stuff to just add more like depth and like variety to it, if that makes sense. You don't want to go too overboard with that, or else everything looks like a cluttered mess. But if you do it a little bit, like I only use like 2 different like variation of thickness and like the wires and stuff, so I feel like that is like plenty. And then the nose is also EVA foam, which has been painted with a thick, like almost slick black paint. I use it a lot for stuff. I use it for the smudging around the ears. The smudging around the rest of the body though, since that was like such a large like ordeal to do, I use spray paint, just stepping back and then spray painting from a distance, so you just get these like dark spots. You could probably also use an airbrush if you want to. I just can't afford an airbrush, so that's why I didn't use one. I was thinking about getting one, but I'm broke. So on all the torso bits, by the way, are also EVA foam. You can't really see his bow tie that well because his massive bottom jaw is like covering it, but his bow tie is EVA foam that was spray painted purple, and his buttons were painted with the same stuff that I used for his nose, so they were painted by hand. So that's like a lot of the basics that I explained with like covering the head in fabric goes for everything else. The feet were the very last part of the like costume. Well, no, technically I finished the hands last, but that was just because I like put them aside because I don't like working on hands. Hands are just kind of like finger segments are just tedious to do because you're just making a bunch of cardboard tubes. But finger segments with withering start to get annoying because they like the withering and stuff on this. It takes almost the same amount of time to like do one of these like little segments as it does to wrap this up. The only like thing that changes is that you're not spending as much time cutting out material. So with like the fingers and stuff, all the withering spots take the same amount of time to like detail and get done as it would with like these like larger withering spots on the like arm segments, the larger ones. So it does still take like a pretty long amount of time. It's just tedious, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of it. But you know, it's a crucial part of things because it would look weird without hands, and it's worthwhile to do just so you can have that complete like costume and stuff for the animatronic, or a costume if you want to just wear a costume. I will say, doing unwithered characters takes way less time than doing the withered ones, because the withered ones you have to like go back and like take all this time to like cut stuff out and like kind of hide all the like inner parts that you see with like paint and stuff. But with non-withered characters, you just wrap it in fabric and you're good. It's so nice. It was so refreshing because I did a new Spring Bonnie head, which will be the next video. Keep an eye out for that. It will go up either tomorrow or the next day after this one, so we'll see. It was so refreshing to just not have to do withering on a character. It was just, oh my god, it was so nice. Because I got that project done so fast, I was like shocked at myself. Then there was the legs and stuff, which I already kind of brought up and then got off topic. The legs are an area that I'm not very like well versed in, because in the past when it comes to legs, I usually just make like cardboard tubes and stuff, and I don't even worry about the feet because that's rarely even shown on camera. But this was not built to be a film prop. This was built to be a cool Halloween decoration. So if people are coming up and seeing it, I have to be more thorough, because with a lot of the flaws and stuff of other things, I can just hide it from the camera. That way, like, you don't see, like, I think on the back of the original Spring Bonnie, there was like, I just used a normal t-shirt that I turned inside out for the front of it, and there was a logo on the back of it that you could see through the back, so I like tried my best to like keep people from seeing the back of it. But for this, when it's something that like I'm wanting people to like be able to walk around and like see all of it, I actually have to like put work into like making the back look detailed, or like doing feet. So the feet are actually fully made. They are, I'm not very like good at doing feet. It took me a couple tries to like figure out how to do what I wanted to do with the feet. There was like a lot of issue with like tracing it out, getting the right shape, and then like getting the right angle for like the feet, because I just kind of did something similar to what I do with the bottom jaw and ears, where it's just like I do like a 2D like cutout and then make it 3D by like kind of adding another strip of cardboard like around it and then doing another like cutout of it. But for these feet, I wanted to do something different. I ended up doing like kind of partial framework on the sides to make it more rounded out on the edges. I actually made the top portion of it kind of come in at a slant. That way the feet kind of like, you know, didn't look like they didn't have like flat tops, because that's not how he is in game. They're kind of like slanted in the game. But yeah, that was an interesting experience. I got them done again like way quicker than I expected, as with a lot of stuff. The feet ended up being done in like a couple days, which was just shocking to me. But it was very nice to like finally just, this is done, I did it. Like, it just, I'm so happy that like Fredbear is finally done. Again, I mentioned this earlier, I worked for 9 months on this guy, and he's finally done, and he's my largest project yet. He is just, he's massive, and he is technically not the first animatronic like reskin that I've done, because I ended up doing Plush Trap while working on Fredbear, and I ended up finishing Plush Trap sooner. But he's the first like full-sized like character that I've done. I may do more. They may not be like full-sized. There might be like you guys have seen, I'm kind of working on making the Hauntress from Spirit Halloween into Withered Foxy. I'll give you guys a sneak peek, why not? I'll put up like a picture of like what he looks like now, because I actually went back and I started doing touch-ups on my old Withered Foxy, so he looks way better now. And that's enough about that. This video is about Fredbear. I'll step out of the way, that way you guys can see like just Fredbear moving. Honestly just so glad I got this big dude done. He is probably one of my best looking props so far, on top of being like the biggest one. I put a lot of work into this dude. I would appreciate if you guys liked the video and just showed your support in the comments or something. Speaking of which, I should say thank you for all the people who stuck through with this project from the beginning, because I know it's been like forever, like since I started this thing, and thank you guys for being patient in me getting this video out. I'm sorry again that it took so long to get out. I know a lot of you were like just eager to see this thing in motion and stuff, but yeah, I really appreciate all the support you guys give me. I probably wouldn't still be doing YouTube without it, so thank you guys so much. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you liked it, please leave a like. If you're not subscribed already, that would also be appreciated. Especially if you want to see more projects, because I'm not stopping at Fredbear. Like I already said, I have multiple other projects in the works, like a full like Spring Bonnie cosplay that, you know, is designed to be a cosplay instead of just like a quick like, you know, movie costume that is not designed to be worn for too long. So, and you know, the old one looks like trash anyways. Not the old one, that one looked worse, but the new old one from 2017. But yeah. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.